All right, so I watched a movie called Stupid Games, and the literal tagline for the film is play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I can only assume that is a reference to a Taylor Swift song. I think it's Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. My kids will kill me if I'm wrong on that. They are the biggest Swifties on planet Earth. But I've heard that line in the song so many times that I'm pretty sure that's what song that's attached to. But when I saw it, I literally pressed play on it because of that, because I've heard that from my kids playing Taylor Swift in my car endlessly. So I clicked on this because of them. So I guess I watched this for them. But it had a premise that I'm fairly familiar with. Kids play a game, and things go wrong. They're not kids. These guys are like in their fucking 30s, but they're supposed to be younger. Anyways, these three girls invite these three guys over, and they eventually play this game. And as you can probably guess, the game is cursed, and they have to continue to keep playing it, and people die. You know how it goes. There's tons of movies like this that I have watched, and some I enjoy and some I don't. And this one was kind of in the middle for me, mostly leaning on the side of I didn't like it, but I thought it was impressive because I think I read somewhere in the comments or in the was it the review, they said that this was filmed in like, I'm just completely making up shit right now, but I swear it was like in 8 days on like a $10,000 budget or something. That's what I saw. Maybe it's a little higher of a budget, but if this was shot for that quickly for that kind of money, that's pretty impressive. That's crazy. I don't know what, if you are, I'm sure the filmmakers are watching this, because when I do like low budget films like this, I almost always get the filmmakers in the comments. But what was the budget on this? But it's because I'd like to know. Um, okay, so as far as like the acting goes, I actually thought that was pretty good, and I thought that um, I thought that the way they interacted with each other, the chemistry and all of that stuff, I felt like they all had like good talent and chemistry together, but the characters are, and I want to say this is probably on purpose, this is purposefully done, but it still doesn't make it enjoyable. They're purposely insufferable. Like, the guys are stereotypes. You have the two dudes who are just trying to get laid, and then the nerdy guy friend that they bring because the girls demand that they bring another guy, right? It's going to be a triple date, and when they're like, you have to bring three or don't come at all, of course, as us as the audience watching a horror movie going, oh, they want some kind of sacrificial thing, right? That they need three specifically. We know that, we're in on it, but they grab this like nerdy guy because he wears glasses, and his hair is parted in a certain way, so he's got to be nerdy, right? This is all just cliche archetype bullshit that they throw into film. We're used to it. We grew up on 80s slashers, and we know the gimmick, but I don't know. There's something about modern film, like a modern low budget horror, where this has become very tired. Like, it's cute and like funny to go back to the 80s and watch them and kind of um, you know look at them through the lens of that time and be like, oh my god, look at how silly they always have the gas station attendant that's like turned back, and they always have the token black guy or girl, and they have the nerd, and they have the slut, and they have the jock, and they have, like, I get it, there's archetypes, there's stereotypes, like, and they play them out in films, but they just are so old to me. They're so old to me. I'm so over them. Um, but that's not even so much what it is here. It's just that, like, I don't relate to anybody in any way, shape, or form. And what's going on in here just isn't interesting enough. And as far as, like, the horror goes, I actually think the horror here, while it's, like, playful and never scary in any way, shape, or form, um, they get some decent shots of, like, the entity. And I think that that's actually done fairly well. when we do see it, which isn't much, but there's some really cool shots, something with a closet and an entity and stuff like that. I thought looked cool, and I was like, okay, if this is $10,000, then holy shit, like really impressive. They also, I'm assuming, created their own board game, or maybe they found an obscure board game, or like retrofitted an old board game to fit their needs. The game itself doesn't really make much sense. Just practically, when I'm looking at the boards, as someone who owns well over 100 board games, mostly horror board games, it's not really all that thought out. It's like kind of a mix between Scrabble and Truth or Dare with the movement of Trivial Pursuit. But I don't know, man. I really didn't like the interactions between people. They all just seem so one dimensional. And with a story like this, this kind of film, it really make it, if it would work so much better if you cared about anybody. And at the end of this film, the only person I could slightly care about is the nerdy guy. But even then, there's moments in the film, like one in particular, where you are asked to suspend so much disbelief that it's insulting. That when something so obviously supernatural is happening, I know that, these girls are attractive and these guys are horny and all of this stuff, but you are not going to be gaslit that hard. I don't care how hot, these girls are. I don't care how much you want to have sex with them. When when things start moving on their own, when you're seeing something so obviously, unnatural, supernatural happening in front of you, no one's going to gaslight you into saying that, like, oh, it's just the wine or something. It's so insane. It really does. Like, I know that the film is not trying to be 100% authentic, and I do like what they were able to achieve with a limited budget and a limited space, right? So it's all mostly takes place inside this apartment, and it becomes like a liminal space that's meant to be confining and claustrophobic, and I'm fine with that. I love looped realities and all of that stuff. I'm a big fan of it. It's a good way to utilize a small space and make it endless, like a movie like Cube or something. Like, I get all of that, and I get the inclination and whatnot, but it's the execution that leaves something to be desired here, within the characters, the writing, and our connection to everything. So it's a fine attempt. I think that there's talent here. I think that it's well shot. It's really, really damn good looking for such a small budget, whatever it is. I know it's small. I think the actors are all fine. I just wish that they were given more depth and more character to, you know, convey to the audience and let us connect to them. So I don't know. I didn't like it, and but I didn't hate it. It was another one I got through. It was watchable enough, but the whole, like, I've watched another, like, the Midnight Game. I think that's what it was called, where they light a candle and they can't let it blow out. This is maybe from like 5 to 7 years ago. It kind of had that feel to it. That one I really enjoyed. That also had a nothing budget. And then there was like Gatlop from last year, which was like some Jumanji horror knockoff kind of thing. That one was better than this one. That one was pretty good. It definitely left stuff to be desired, and I would love to see like the horror board game Jumanji Zathura type of game movie made that I really, really connect to. But, I mean, we've seen this plenty of times. How many of these gimmicky horror films start with the concept of, like, kids get together and play with a Ouija board, or they play Bloody Mary, or they play some kind of game that leads them to be cursed, and then the game has to continue. Truth or Dare, the Blumhouse film, or whatever. Like, this is nothing conceptually unique. But it would be in the execution of the characters and in the framing of the game within. So both of those were not successes in my opinion, and so it left something to be desired. All right, so that's that for this movie. But yeah, Taylor Swift brought me here, and my lack of entertainment is what made me leave here unhappy. But not a total waste of time. You guys have talent. Keep with it. And yeah, I'll see you in the comments.